Welcome back to AM Oklahoma. We are honored to have with us this morning the one, the only Art Linkletter.
Morning. How do you do?
Art, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Oh, you're looking spry this morning.
Yes.
So you guys remind me of me 40 years ago.
Oh, yeah?
Full of vinegar and enthusiasm, ready to go, unaware that the world is a jungle waiting for you out there. You're unabashed, undaunted, charging, aren't you?
Well, I like this guy.
Well, we
don't
try
you?
hard, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
You know? We're hungry.
I like this guy. What do you seem to have such a great attitude. What do you attribute to your great attitude of life?
Well, I'm curious about everything. I like doing all kinds of things, and I think basically being in great physical condition gives your batteries the charge that you need. You know, you can't be an enthusiast, you can't be a hard worker, you can't be a doer unless you are operating on a base of feeling good. And the way you feel good is to take care of yourself. And that's what the interesting thing about this United States is right now. We have the greatest physical fitness stuff going on, the jogging and nutrition and the vitamins and the minerals and the diets. On the other hand, we have drugs and booze and smoking. It's a strange kind of a mixture. And you see often, strangely enough, the same kids. When I'm up skiing on top of a great mountain like Ajax and Aspen, I see wonderful kids up there enjoying the skiing and smoking marijuana cigarettes.
Isn't that
What
sad?
in the world do they need? What can you put on top of an ice cream sundae that already has everything on it?
Mm-hmm.
And they want an additional kick that's going to maybe danger their entire lives.
Well, you know, that's like football. You know, you watch the Super Bowl on television, the epitome of athletics, right? And then they have the beer commercials.
Yeah.
You know?
The most seductive commercials in the world because they're full of all kinds of wonderful, funny guys and coaches and everything all laughing and chug-a-lugging beer like it was lemonade instead of being the door opener for all kinds of other things.
How do you take care of yourself? You say you ski a little bit, right?
I ski a lot, and
Yeah.
then in the summer I swim a lot. I'm basically, through my life, been a swimmer. I'm a surfer, board surfer. I was a lifeguard in Southern California for years, so I have that background. I watch my diet. I do lots of exercising, and I have a good mental attitude. You know, stress can
ask
wear
him
you
how
down
old-
more than anything else.
Ask him
No
how-
whispering, fellas.
Ask him how old he is.
You want me to?
Go ahead and ask him.
Well, I've already asked you. I think
I
can't
you wanna know
believe-
how old I am?
can't believe it.
I just celebrated the 50th anniversary of my 23rd birthday.
You told us. I like that. You told us.
How many know how old I am?
That'd make you 73.
I
Okay.
can't believe that. That's serious for you. I mean, really.
Yeah.
That is incredible. I mean, you look 60.
Well, I feel 40.
You look just great.
Of course, I'll feel and look a lot better at 10 o'clock because at 10 o'clock my heart starts.
That's right.
At 9 o'clock
That's when my
heart
mouth
isn't
starts,
beating
you
yet.
know. A lot of times I
You
have
said
trouble with my mouth.
you take care of yourself. You get a lot of rest too, right?
A lot of rest and a lot of exercise, and I don't worry about things. I'm not a stressful person. I don't worry about things I can't do anything about. For instance, right now, I am not at all concerned that I'm going to be attacked by Colonel Gaddafi. Ayatollah Khomeini doesn't bother me at night when I'm having dinner. I don't worry about all these things. So many people worry about things that are never going to happen or that they can't do anything about anyway.
I heard a while back that people worry about things worry about something that's going to happen, and it never happens. I mean,
Most things never happen.
Well, it's like they say, worrying is like sitting in a rocking chair. It's something to do, but you don't get anywhere.
That's right.
You know?
Of course, I know that life can be tough. I have lost 2 children out of 5 children, which is a tragic thing to happen to anybody. And in fact, I'm very state of shock today about 2 dear friends of mine in show business who've just died. Donna Reed, whom I interviewed on her first day in Hollywood as a young starlet, just arriving there to do her first job. So I've known her all those years. And Ricky Nelson, whom I've known since he was born. And of course, Ricky's death is a tragic loss to us. Those things happen, but that's part of life. You have to go on and say, well, as a matter of fact, you want to know my philosophy of life?
Mm-hmm.
Things turn out best for the people who make the best of the way things turn out.
I like that.
Which is another way of saying you got to play the cards the way they're dealt to you, no matter what they are. Make the best of them.
You were talking about Ricky Nelson. There saying in news reports now that there possibly some drug use on the plane, some cocaine.
That's startling and shocking, but no less so than my own daughter, who took her own life when she was 18 years ago, whom I knew intimately, of course, and been on pack trips and trips all over the world. I had no idea she was experimenting with drugs. She was not a drug addict, but she was experimenting. You never know, because it's intriguing for kids to try something that's mysterious and exciting and a little bit wrong. And kids in their teens are experimenting, and that's a danger, because when you experiment with drugs, you're playing Russian roulette. I see all those guns over there on that table. And nobody in his right mind would take one of those guns and put one bullet in it and then spin it and then pull the trigger to see whether or not it hit. That's what you do when you take a drug. You don't know who made it, who brought it to you, what's in it. And even if it's a clean drug, as it were, it's full of death. So why play Russian roulette with your life?
We talked about this before the show. We're not into that. It doesn't, you know, I don't have to drive a car into a brick wall. I mean, if somebody else does that and it kills themselves, you know not to do it.
But when I talk to kids in drug centers all over the country who are in trouble, I ask them 2 or 3 very interesting questions. One question I always ask is, did you know before you started drugs that there was a risk? They all said yes. You know, they have friends and things that happen. Then the second question was, if you knew it was a risk, why did you do it? And they all say, I didn't think it would happen to me. I thought I could fool around with it, you know. We call it chippy in the drug business. Little recreational drugs on a weekend, maybe a marijuana cigarette now and then. But nobody thinks it's going to happen to them, especially young people. Even grown-ups. How many grown-ups right now are driving cars without their seatbelts fastened, although they know they should have it, but they're not going to be in an accident? Third thing that I ask questions of kids in the drug business that's interesting to me, when you discovered that you were into drugs heavily, that you'd become risk-prone with a kind of group, that you're having trouble with your grades at school and all that kind of, did you go to your parents and talk about this problem? Once again, 90% of the kids said, no, they don't know what I'm talking about. They'd be disappointed. I'd break their hearts. Kids don't go to their parents, and they should go to the people who love them and care for them.
Art, on a lighter subject, you're known as being the great communicator with kids. What's the secret there?
The secret, of course, is first of all to look at a child when you're talking to them and pay strict attention. Most kids don't get the attention of grown-ups. Mothers and fathers say, what happened to school today? And while the kid's answering, they're fixing something or doing something. When I talk to a boy or girl, I look them right in the eye and I say, who are you? Just like I'm a district attorney. See, I'm giving all these kids right now the old 00. Then I start with some simple little question like, what animal would you be if you couldn't be a little boy or a little girl anymore and you had to be an animal? What would you be? What would you be if you had to be an animal?
I'd be a cat.
A cat? You look like a cat. Did you know that? Why would you want to be a cat?
Because I love cats.
You love cats. Anybody here like to be a spider? How do you like that? Spiders are nice, friendly. Anybody like to be an alligator? Ah, I knew I'd find one alligator. See, the one with the big teeth up there in the top row. Anybody? You know, I had a little girl one time. I said, she was a sweet little girl, and I said to her, what animal would you like to be? She says, I'd like to be an elephant. And I said, why? She says, because I could sleep anywhere I wanted.
That's right.
Just walk right in and lie down. Who's going to argue with you?
Have you ever had any kid freeze up on you?
Every once in a while, you have a child who says, I don't know who I am. I don't know who my father is. I don't know who my mother is. I don't know anything. And what happens then, I generally say, do you have a pet? If they have a pet, I'm home free, because if he has a dog or a cat, I say, does a dog have a pedigree? And I'll get an answer like, no, we're Catholics. or no, we don't, our dog doesn't have a pedigree. We use a kind of a powder under his arm. And then, of course, the kids, 5-year-old kids are wonderful to talk to because they don't really know anything that's going on. I had a little boy, a little girl one time, all dressed up in a pretty party dress, And I said to her, well, you're a pretty girl. What's new with you? And she says, my pink pants. She hold up her dress. Well, you know, that's kind of sweet. I've tried that with housewives. Get nothing.
You're going to blow your image now, Art.
No, you know, you want to see how free and easy they are.
Get to know them a little bit better.
You've written 18 books.
That's
you
right.
do a lot of speaking all across the country. You were in town last night for Sonic Industries.
Yes, sir.
Motivational speech.
How many of you kids like Sonic hamburgers? Let's see. Give
look
them
at
all
there.
Sonic hamburgers.
Yeah.
Yes, I speak at all kinds of things. I speak at fundraisers for hospitals. I speak at conventions. I speak at Chamber of Commerce dinners. A combination of positive thinking. Yes, you can.
That's your newest book, right?
It's one of my newest books. My actual newest book is called Public Speaking for Private People. How to take a person whose hands start to sweat and his heart starts to beat when anybody asks him to get up and give his name in public, because
I think I need to read that.
you know, like Willard Scott. But
right.
anyhow, 40 or 50% of the average American public, according to a survey, said that their greatest fear in life was to be called upon in public to get up and talk. Their second fear was death. So
Wow.
this gives you an idea how frightened people are getting. So I wrote a book on how to be a speaker. That's a new book that I have out, and I'm just about to write a new book about some of the great, interesting, wonderful people who've been friends of mine through the years. Presidents of the United States, for instance, Ronald Reagan is a very dear friend of mine, and a friend of the family. In fact, Mrs. Reagan was my wife at one time on a GE Theater
I was going to say.
show for 30 minutes on CBS. When she was an actress, she was my leading lady in a picture we made together. So I know the Reagans quite well. When I go to Washington, I drop in and we have dinner, and free, you know, the taxpayers pick it up. And incidentally, talking about staying in shape, Ronald Reagan is 74. He's a year older than I am. He's in the greatest shape of anybody you can think of. He has a whole room upstairs in the executive suite he told me about, full of exercise machines. And at night, he goes up there and he punches the bag and he lifts weights and gets rid of all of his stresses and stays in great physical condition.
Oh, that's something to say. We've got the phone lines, and we've got people, they want to talk to you, Art. The number's 478-0300. I think they're on the line right now. Good morning. This is AM Oklahoma.
Hello?
Yeah,
Good
you're on.
morning. You're on the
Did you
air.
ever hear such a timid hello?
Oh, I didn't know. Listen, if I may use one of Mr. Linkletter's quotable quotes, you say, kids say the darndest things. All right, I have a question. My name's Lauren Geis from Laurel, Oklahoma, and I have a question. And my question is, why is it that man will wait 3 or 4 hours for a fish bite, but won't wait 15 seconds or 15 minutes for a woman to get dressed?
Why is it that
A man will wait 3 or 4 hours for a fish to bite.
Oh, for a fish to bite. I didn't have the first part of that.
But won't wait 15 minutes for a woman to get dressed.
Well, you see, he doesn't have the fish on the hook.
Good answer. Good answer. Let's go to another call.
I got to tell you my favorite kid story fishing.
Okay.
A little boy walks out, and the 2 men are ice fishing through the holes in the ice, and they're not catching anything, and the kid comes up and he starts pulling the fish out, one after the other, and they're furious. And they walk over, and one kid says, the little boy says, how do you catch all those fish? What are you using for bait? And the kid said, rum, rum, rum. He says, speak up, speak up. And the kid says, you got to keep the worms warm.
That's good.
Oh, look at her. She's a little girl in the front row just threw up.
And she wanted to be a cat. All right.
Let's go to another caller. Good morning. This is AM Oklahoma.
Yes, my name's Dave. I live in Oklahoma City, and I grew up watching the old Linkletter, watching the old House Party
Good.
show, and I was thinking the other day they would really be interesting if they ever went into syndication and see some of the live interviews with the old interviews with the kids and what have you. And I was wondering, is there any plans to ever syndicate those shows, sir?
Strange that you should ask
Yeah,
that.
good question.
I just signed with the syndicator a month ago, and we have 650 shows of interviews with kids in color and sound that will be unleashed upon, I hope, a waiting public during the next year.
Terrific.
So we're going to syndicate some of those shows that I have left over from the 25 years that I did it. and they're just as fresh today. What the kids said are just as good. Yeah, like, give you an example. A little boy had a Mickey Mouse wristwatch on, and I said to him, is that your watch? He says, yeah. I said, what time does it say? I'll give you a test. What time does it say? He looked up at me. He says, doesn't say anything. You got to look at it.
I tell you what, we could stay here and visit with you for days, I believe.
Days and days.
By the way, what do you two boys want to be when you grow up?
I want to be Art Linkletter. All right? Art, thank you so much.
Delighted to meet you both. I see a great future in this business for you.
Oh, well, thank you. You're the one that
sweeping the floors, right?
No. You sing, you talk, you're good looking, you're single, you're available, and you work cheap.
Keep going, keep going.
You got that.
All right, thank you, Art, so much. In just a moment, we'll be visiting with the Diener Brothers about antique guns.